There's nothing quite like a sweet, tart, crisp, and juicy apple. If you include their juice, apples are the most widely available fruit in the United States, nudging past oranges and bananas. Perhaps one reason we keep crunching away is the sheer variety. Over 7,000 name types offering a wide range of flavors and textures that are perfect for snacking, baking, tossing into a salad, or a multitude of other recipes like applesauce braised chicken thighs. Apples have evolved over thousands of years, with farmers cultivating varieties for shape, taste, and high production yield, as well as for their relative resistance to pests and disease. In the mid-19th century, there were about 17,000 named varieties in North America. That number has dwindled considerably, but a renewed interest in heirloom and regional varieties has boosted offerings like Northern Spy Gravenstein, Canadian Strawberry Newtown Pippin. Just stumble into the right farmer's market or local orchard from September through October, where you can have your pick straight from the farmer's apple trees and, honestly, cosplay that Americana dream. Meanwhile, new varieties like Cosmic Crisp and Sugar Bee are gaining popularity on grocery store shelves. Below, we've rounded up 17 varieties that showcase the diversity of apples available in U.S. markets right now. These profiles highlight the best ways to use each specimen, whether that's simply eating it out of hand, baking it into classic apple pie, braising it with pork pot roast, or something else entirely. But before we get into that, let's talk about how to buy and store apples. Choose firm apples without blemishes. Look for apples without any visible bruises or soft, mushy spots. They should be firm for their specific variety, like for example, a McIntosh won't be as firm as a Granny Smith. Do not store bruised or cut apples with whole ones, as this will cause the other apples to spoil faster. So here's the thing. Keep them cold. Apples quickly lose their crispness at room temperature, so it's best to avoid leaving them on your counter. To store apples in the fridge, place them in a perforated plastic bag to help preserve their freshness and allow the ethylene gas they emit to be released. If you want to store apples for a long time, just wrap each one in newspaper. Make sure to avoid paper with colored ink, and then store them in a dark, cool place such as a cellar or garage. Oh, and use lemon juice to keep your sliced apples fresh. If you're slicing apples and don't want the exposed apple flesh to turn brown, dunk the slices in a bowl of 3 parts water to 1 part lemon juice. Also, just so you know, some varieties like Ginger Gold, Cortland, and Pink Lady will brown more slowly, which makes them good choices for a charcuterie or cheese board that'll sit out at a party. Braeburn apples. Originating from New Zealand, Braeburns have a skin that's muted red with golden yellow undertones and, just a touch of faint green. It has a firm, crisp bite and offers a really pleasing balance between sweet and tart. Firm to the touch, Braeburns are good for baking as well as eating just as they are. A relative newcomer, RubyFrost is a cross between a Braeburn and an autumn crisp apple, and it sports a balance of sweet and tangy flavors. Its high vitamin C levels slow down browning after cutting, which is pretty handy. Cameo apples. Discovered in Washington State in 1987, Cameo apples quickly gained popularity. Believed to be descendants of the red and golden delicious varieties, these apples are juicy, crisp, and can have hints of pear. Their predecessors account for their shape and the somewhat striated appearance of their red and yellow skin, which is thicker than that of the golden delicious but thinner than that of the red. Try substituting Cameos for goldens in baking and cooking. This variety is especially delicious when eaten raw. Cortland apples. It's easy to confuse this apple for a McIntosh. Both are squat in shape and feature creamy white interiors and sweet tart flavors. The Cortland, developed in 1898, is a relatively soft apple, though not as soft as the McIntosh. Unlike the McIntosh, the Cortland serves as an all-purpose apple, which means you can bake, cook, or eat it raw. Empire apples. So, these apples are actually a cross between McIntosh and Red Delicious, and they were developed by researchers at Cornell University way back in the late 1940s. They were released to the public in 1966. It is generally quite round with a bright red skin accented by hints of green. The flesh is crisp and white. Oh, and it's also used to produce hard cider. Envy apples. Like jazz apples, envy apples are a cross between Braeburn and Royal Gala. Originally from New Zealand, they have gained popularity in the United States in recent years. Their skin is primarily red with some speckles and striping, and the apples are known for their crunch. They're really versatile, all-purpose apples that can be enjoyed raw or cooked. Like Cosmic Crisp and Sugar Bee, you may find them sold in multi-pound bags. Fuji apples. Created by Japanese growers in the 1930s, the Fuji apple's popularity grew in the United States during the 1980s, and it has quickly become one of the most popular in the country. This large, crisp apple is a relative of the Red Delicious with an intense sweet flavor. It's ideal for eating raw, particularly as a snack for children. Gala apples. Taller than they are wide, Gala apples have a similar shape to Golden Delicious apples and a light red hue with bright yellow undertones. This specimen has a pleasantly mild, sweet taste and crisp texture. Like Fuji's, Galas are easy to eat raw thanks to their thin skin and overall sweetness, making them an ideal fruit for kids. They're also good for cooking and a welcome addition to salads. Golden Delicious apples. This all-purpose apple may share part of its name with the Red Delicious, but the two are not related. These bright yellow apples tend to have an elongated body and soft texture, though not as soft as a McIntosh or a Cortland. So, the thin-skinned Golden Delicious doesn't store well either since it's prone to bruising, so, it's best to use them up as soon as possible. Because these apples hold their shape well, they've long been prized for baking, but honestly they also do well for sauces, salads, and even freezing. Canadian ambrosia apples are thought to be a relative of Golden Delicious, and well, they boast a sweet flavor with minimal acidity. Another relative, opal apples, have this warm golden hue and a more balanced flavor. And then there's Granny Smith apples. A classic choice, Granny Smith apples are firm with bright green skin, a crisp bite, and an extremely tart taste. Some say they can also detect a faint flavor of almonds in these. So, while Granny Smith apples have long been readily available in the United States, they actually originated in Australia. Cooking them will mellow the apple's intense tang, but if you really relish that pucker, they're an ideal complement to savory foods like onions, cheese, and pork. Plus, their vibrant skin adds a pop of color to salads and cheese plates. Honeycrisp apples. So these were originally believed to be a cross between Macoun and Honeygold apples, but actually, recent ancestry testing overturns this assumption. DNA analysis now identifies their parentage and keepsake, and an unreleased University of Minnesota selection called MN1627. Honeycrisps are large apples with juicy flesh and thin skins, and, as their name suggests, they're crisp and have a honeyed flavor. Developed as part of the University of Minnesota's apple breeding program and first planted way back in 1962, Honeycrisps didn't really gain much notoriety with shoppers until the early 2000s. Honeycrisps have also, spawned a whole new generation and style of apples like Cosmic Crisp, which is a hybrid of Honeycrisp and Enterprise Evercrisp that's a cross between Honeycrisp and Fuji, and Sugar Bee, which was created when bees pollinated a Honeycrisp tree with another unknown apple variety. Each of these varieties is honestly just excellent for snacking. And speaking of great apples, let's talk about Jonagold apples. A lovely red-hued apple with hints of yellow, Jonagold apples were actually developed in 1943 and are a hybrid of the Jonathan and the Golden Delicious varieties. So this apple's physical characteristics borrow from both parents, and it marries the sweetness of Golden Delicious with the tart flavor of Jonathan. It also has smooth, thin skin and rich yellow flesh. McIntosh apples. Known as Canada's national apple, the McIntosh is actually the least firm of all the apples on this list. Available in shades of red, green, or yellow, it has soft flesh that can be described as creamy or even mealy, which makes this variety a really good candidate for making applesauce, but not necessarily for baking since it just won't hold its shape. Mutsu apples. This large Japanese variety, also known as crispin, is a delightful descendant of the Golden Delicious. Mutsus are sweet, with a moderate level of acidity, and they're quite crisp. They sport a lovely yellow-green skin, making them as appealing to the eyes as they are to the taste buds. Now let's talk about Pink Lady apples. Pink Lady is the trademark name of the crisp pink variety of apple. Under their rosy-hued skin, with charming blushing spots of yellow-green, these fruits have a creamy white flesh that's firm, dense, and delightfully tart. They won't oxidize or turn brown as quickly as most varieties, so they're just perfect for adding to a cheese board or tossing in a salad. Red Delicious apples. As their name suggests, Red Delicious apples bear a vibrant deep red color, though, honestly, there's some debate on whether they really live up to their last name. These apples tend to have wide shoulders, thicker skins, and creamy white interiors that can easily turn mealy or mushy. Because they are mildly sweet with very low acidity, but a nice amount of antioxidants, these apples are best for turning into applesauce or passing through your juicer as a complement to other ingredients. Rome apples, also known as Rome Beauty, this American apple variety gets its name not from the Eternal City but from Rome, Ohio, where it was discovered around 1820, according to the Oxford Companion to Food. It retains its shape when cooked and is arguably best that way. On their own, Rome apples don't pack much flavor. SnapDragon apples. Like some other types of apples mentioned above, SnapDragon apples were developed by Cornell University's apple breeding program. They are descendants of the Honeycrisp and are sweet, very juicy, and nicely crunchy. You'll often pay a premium for newer varieties, so it's best to enjoy them in their natural state for snacking and salads or sliced thinly and layered on a